To all my fellow Americans, rejoice. We are finally out of the night race portion of the season, and now we are in the morning again. I am certainly happy about this because recording the winners and losers at midnight at 1 a.m. was something I'm not rushing to do again, at least for an early bird like me. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about the 2025 Bahrain Grand Prix. Can I just say how glad I am that this track is not the season opener anymore? Something about Australia makes it a much better season opener than freaking Bahrain, but it's not like this track is bad. It's actually quite good in my opinion. We've had great races here, such as 2021 with Max and Lewis showing us things are about to get real, 2022 with the debut of the new cars, and 2018 where Kimi Raikkonen almost killed a man. But I fear I must be the one to say it, I don't think this race will be good. I have nothing against the track, it's just that this track was used for preseason testing, and given how Spain has benefited from not being the testing track anymore, I fear Bahrain will be the new Catalonia and be a boring race. Drivers and teams will have so much knowledge about the track and will know exactly what to do, making this race extremely predictable. And unless rain falls, which I guess can happen, I doubt this race will be any good. But who knows, Bahrain was a testing track for the past 3 years and it wasn't that bad, so maybe I'm just being a negative Nancy. So with that, let us see how the weekend is building up by listing the teams that have upgrades coming, the drama from Japan, the ones to watch this weekend, and of course, my beautiful and always right predictions for the quali and race. Also, a quick reminder, I will not be able to make a winners or losers video for the weekend due to me being in Long Beach for IndyCar and IMSA, but don't worry, join the Discord for mine and your reaction to the weekend, and of course, subscribe if you're new if you love other racing series. So enough yapping, and here is the Bahrain preview.
See those clouds up in the corner? That's where the rain is coming from.
Let's start with upgrades first as always, and since we are in Bahrain, which was where preseason was held, we could probably expect major upgrades since teams know exactly what to look for, but of course this is like 90% speculation, so keep that in mind. So let us start with Sauber, who on a very aggressive plans with their upgrades since I guess throwing a bunch of shots at the board will eventually result in a win. Sauber are the nothing burgers of the sport currently, since I'm pretty sure across the 3 races so far, the camera has only panned to them like 6 times in the races, so they clearly need to improve their game since races like Australia are not bound to happen every single weekend, so they need to perform soon. With a man like Jonathan Wheatley at the team and the other one, I'm sure they'll figure something out. Next up, I have Racing Bulls, since they should be challenging at the sharp end of the midfield. I say should, since while their qualities have always resulted in Q3s, look at their races, man. These guys suck with strategy. However, this is not permanent, and I'm sure they will improve bit by bit. Take Japan, for example, where they finally scored some points. So if their car can continue improving, they will be a force to be reckoned with. I'm still in utter shock that the junior team looks way more competent than the main team, since you remove Max from Red Bull and they may be leveled or worse than Racing Bulls, which is of course a good thing for the latter team. So with a good driver like Hadjar and an improving driver like Liam, Racing Bulls could perhaps contend for 5th in the standings and finally nab that result they've been hunting for since 2021. Next, I have Haas, since despite their car being slower than my mind, they somehow are scoring points. Where the team lacks in pace, they make up for it with brilliant strategy, so just imagine when they do get a fast car. Haas typically bode really well around Bahrain, and I'm sure Komatsu wants to keep the 6th place standing right now, so some upgrades to their downforce could probably be expected for sure for this race. Again, imagine how lethal the team will be once their pace is figured out. Behrman is showing amazing promise in that car so far, and Ocon has already shown that he has the ingredients to grab a brilliant result. I don't want to call it, but I will call it. Watch out for the battle for 5th in the standings between Williams, Racing Bulls, Haas, and maybe Aston Martin. Now for the top teams, and I have Ferrari again. Man, what has happened to the team I love? I, like many others, believe this team will be pushing for the title this season, but I don't even think Ferrari doubters anticipated the team doing this disappointingly so far. The car just looks all over the place with no real indication of their standing. They could do really good 1 second and win, then the next they are drowning in a sea of mid. To be frank, I have nothing to tell you guys regarding upgrades. I'm only talking about the team right now because something needs to change, so hopefully change is brought in Bahrain. Next, I have Mercedes, who I would imagine are starting to panic a little bit. I say this because with Red Bull potentially back into the fray sometimes, Merc may need to step their game up, especially if Yuki starts performing really well like he initially promised in the practice sessions of Japan. I have no doubt Mercedes could bring in some goodies and launch themselves further, since last year especially, most of their upgrade packages worked as intended and got the car to amazing places. So just imagine if a push similar to Miami for McLaren happened to Mercedes. George Russell title shout incoming? Maybe, man, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Merc could bring in some good upgrades, so watch out for that. Finally, I have McLaren, of course. The car is already fast, but as we saw last week, they could still be beaten given the right circumstances, so they'll probably bring in some minor upgrades as they prepare a big upgrade to come later. I don't want to say they are under threat from the other team since they are not. However, McLaren are greedy. They want to be as fast as possible and face zero competition unless it is from their own drivers. So despite things looking like they are close again, all it takes is one upgrade package and boom, McLaren are easily fastest again with no competition. Alright, now for the drama of the weekend, and there are really only 3 major stories. Firstly, I have the news around Max and Liam. I briefly mentioned this in my last video, however, I want to go more in depth. So in case you are confused, I said that Max is maybe looking uncertain with the team recently since he liked to post on Instagram basically saying that Red Bull are too cruel and mean to their drivers. The post was talking about how Liam being dropped was BS and how Red Bull need to treat their guys with more time and respect. He even doubled down in an interview saying, yeah, I like this, so what? Plus, when asked a question related to if he is uncertain with the team directly, all he said was he's just paid to drive, which sounds all good. However, in the past, he has stated that he trusts in Horner and Marco, so maybe this is the start of the switch up. I don't blame him either since, yeah, he just won again. However, it's not like that is enough to just stop listening to all the buzz around the team. It's almost every single week now that Red Bull finds some drama, whether it's through something Horner did or what Marco said. It may start to become too much for Max, especially when he is constantly asked about it. It's clear that the men that Marco and Horner used to be are gone, since back then they kept things semi-respectful and at least had some personality to their drama, but now it's just childish and very, very annoying. Perhaps Max feels the same and just wants to race without all this drama stuff now, but what do I know? I'm a simple duck who thinks way too much for my own good. Next, I have the little scuffle between Max and Lando in the pit lane last week. So in case you missed it, which I don't blame you, the race was shit, Lando and Max box at the same time and Max gets out ahead by a teeny tiny bit. So Lando floors it earlier than Max so he could try and overtake him, but instead, the dude drives onto the grass and gets like 2 seconds behind him. You know, I'll be the one to say it. I understand the thought process, but it was just stupid, man. However, Lando would be kind of mad about it, and I don't want to instigate, except I do. What if this is the planting of the seeds for a bitter rivalry? It's little things like this that can progressively tilt you and lead to 2 drivers crashing every other weekend. I would love it for the simple drama from it, but the reality is, no one gives a fuck and this will be forgotten about. Finally, I have the discussion on why the Japan race was bad. There are 2 sides. One says it's the regs and how awful they are, and the other says it's Pirelli and their hard tires. Now, I'll just say my view flat out is Pirelli. But before I explain myself, the other side believes it's the regs since the cars emitted so much dirty air that makes following impossible. However, I don't think the regs are to blame. The regs, contrary to popular belief, are good in my opinion, and it's just the performance chart that needs fixing. Look at Spa for example. Spa sucked ass in 2020, 21, 22, 23. However, 24 was different. The performance chart was close, and in a track that apparently gives off so much dirty air with the cars, we instead got a great race with great action due to the cars being able to race effectively. Japan just needed things to be more tighter with the cars in my opinion, but who knows, maybe I am a dummy. Something that is objective though is that Pirelli should be bankrupted immediately. The soft tires last you 15 laps or more like 2 laps before they start deteriorating. The medium tires last you like 30 laps and seem to be well rounded, but you need multiple tire compounds to finish a race, so enter the hard tires. What is the point, man? The hard tires last like 500 laps, and to avoid graining, teams just drive super conservatively so they can make it to the end. This objectively sucks since no one pushes, and even if they do for just 2 laps, the tires start complaining and now they have to go slow again. The problem is more apparent at tracks like Suzuka, which just leads to a boring ass race like we saw. Alright, now for the ones to watch, and I have Red Bull in general. Can they keep up with McLaren? Can Yuki score points? Can the car be good again? Why does Max have 100% of the team's points this season? Find out same duck time, same duck channel. So with that, predictions times. As always, it must be said that we will predict 3 things: the top 5 in the quali, the top 5 in the race, and a random prediction from any session. It should also be noted that these predictions are based on nothing but pure vibes, so bear with me. Now for the quali predictions, and I predict that the top 5 on Saturday, starting with 5th, will be Kimi Antonelli, and 4th will be Oscar Piastri, and 3rd will be George Russell, and 2nd will be Max Verstappen, and for pole position I have Lando Norris after a tight quali session. Now for the race predictions, and starting with 5th, I have Kimi Antonelli. In 4th, I have George Russell. In 3rd, I have Lando Norris. In 2nd, I have Oscar Piastri. And the winner of the Bahrain Grand Prix is Max Verstappen. Now for my random prediction, and I think Liam Lawson will get a 5-second time penalty in the race for causing a collision. Also, make sure to join my Discord to make your predictions for the weekend and have a chance to appear in the winners and losers. Not this weekend, I guess. And that was my weekend preview for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Overall, I'm hoping for a good weekend that I can casually watch this time with no worries for a video. And again, sorry for no winners and losers, but I have to see my IndyCar drivers race and watch IMSA live for the first time, so forgive me for trying to have fun once in a while. Anyways, I want to give a quick shout out to all members of the vlog for their continued support, and make sure to join it if you want cool benefits, as well as just helping me out. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since it really helps me out, and make sure to let me know in the comments what your predictions are, and as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.